Hello, welcome to the class of the organs of the human body. I'm Laura Lewis, I'm speaking to you today. So let's start on some learning aims. Go to the next slide. Okay, so learning aims, so an understanding of the organs that make up the human body. So we're going to look at some of the main ones today. We won't cover everything. Okay, there'll be other videos about specific organs as well. So an overview of the functions of each of the organs in the body, and how to answer questions on the organs of the body. Okay, so quite straightforward. So an organ system. So you know what an organ system is, first of all. Lots of students ask what actually are organs. That's quite a good question. Okay, so the organ system is the largest level of organisation in the body. Okay, so several organs work together for one aim. So they work together to do something. So we've got the skeletal system. You may not think as an organ system, but it is. So structure to the body and protects the internal organs. Think about the rib cage protects our heart and lungs. Okay. Muscular supports the body and allows it to move. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to move without that. Digestive system breaks down food and absorbs its nutrients. Respiratory system takes in oxygen and releases waste gases. The nervous system controls sensation, thoughts, our brain's part of that one. Movement and virtually all other body activities. So again, you wouldn't really get very far without that one either. Circulatory system, obviously very important one. Obviously, they're all important, but it's all about the main ones. Transports oxygen, nutrients, other substances to cells and carries away wastes. There's also the reproductive system, which will be covered in a different video, but that's not needed to keep us alive. Okay, so all of these are needed to keep something alive. So you could have no reproductive system and still be able to live. So we're just going to concentrate on the things we need to live, and the reproductive system will be in a different video. Okay, what is it like inside the heart? So the heart is, when you think of an organ, you probably think of the heart as straight away. I mean I do. The heart is probably the most obvious organ. Okay, gets a lot of attention. It deserves the attention because it's obviously very important. So we've got lots of parts there. So we're going to go through them slowly in the next slides. Okay, it looks daunting first of all, but when you get used to it, write it out, which I encourage people to do, then it gets a bit easier. Okay, so we've got four main blood vessels there. The vena cava brings deoxygenated blood into the heart. Okay, so that's from the body. Have a look carefully at this diagram. I encourage you to copy it out. Okay, because it's a good thing to do. I always get the students in my classes to copy this out. I did so when I was at school, and I still remember most of it. Okay, off by heart now. Off by heart now. Okay, so blood from the body, the vena cava. Okay, also from the head. You notice there, the vena cava. Right atrium. So the word atrium in Latin means hallway. Okay, so atrium is where blood comes in to the heart. And there. So right ventricle, so that's the bottom part, and you've got valves. They're the bits that sort of semicircle together of valves. And on the same side of the heart, I mean, you may think, okay, why does that say right and that say left when on the screen, if I put my hands up to the screen, example, that's the other way around. So if you imagine you are operating on a patient on an operating table, okay, then it would be the patient's right ventricle and the patient's left ventricle. So imagine like a body on a table, okay, that you're operating on, and that's how you can imagine it. Okay, so when you do dissections in class, you probably would think of it like that. Okay, you're operating on something. Okay, so right ventricle, and it says pulmonary artery takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Okay, so in the blue, it shows the deoxygenated blood. Of course, deoxygenated isn't really blue, but obviously it's going to help us to understand what's going on here, to make it a bit clearer for us. If you've got a real heart, it's not going to be blue, but just to make it a bit clearer here. Okay, so it says pulmonary on the right hand side, the left hand side of the heart. Yeah, it's easy to get that mixed up, isn't it? The left hand side of the heart there. Pulmonary vein brings oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, so the pulmonary artery takes deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the pulmonary, that word pulmonary means through the lungs, pulmonary vein brings oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, it goes through the left atrium, through the valves again. We're going to go over this a few times, and it comes up it goes down to the left ventricle, gets pumped up and goes upwards, okay, through some more valves. And it goes to the aorta. Oh, that's a good word, aorta. So that's a really big vein, sorry, really big artery, sorry, big artery. Yeah, we'll go over the veins and the arteries in a sort of briefly here, but in another video, difference between a vein and an artery. So in the heart, though, these serve slightly different purposes. So it's good to know the names of these, and we'll go over it in the next few slides anyway. So aorta carries blood away from the heart, okay, and it carries oxygenated blood around the body. If you notice there, it says a muscular heart wall. So the heart isn't symmetrical, okay? It's not how we draw one, like a love heart in a book. It looks very different to that, okay? It's got a thicker wall on the side where it needs to get to the body. Obviously, it needs to go further, doesn't it? You can kind of imagine how a big animal, like a whale or giraffe, must have a huge heart to pump that around. Okay, we have a huge muscular heart to pump it around. So even in a human, not that great, not that big animals, but you still have to have a thick wall on that side of the heart to pump around the body. Okay, so going over it. So yeah, the blood is divided into two sides. The left side pumps oxygenated blood, a thicker side, remember, and the right side pumps deoxygenated blood. So blood enters the heart, the top chambers of the heart, called the atria, like the hallway. The atria contract to push the blood down through valves. So valves stop the blood going back up. The valves are one way, okay, into the ventricles. The right ventricle contracts. So when you see a heart pumping or you feel pulse, that's what it's doing, okay, to take the deoxygenated blood to the lungs, okay. Obviously, it hasn't got any oxygen, so it needs to get some from the lungs. We'll talk about lungs in this PowerPoint too. The left ventricle contracts to take the oxygenated blood to the other organs of the body. Okay, so we're going to go through this. This is a blank one for people to copy, okay, and fill in. So I'm going to go over this, but it's a blank one to copy and fill in. Okay, so again, pause the video and copy it down, okay, or you could do it on the computer, doesn't really matter. And again, this is a blank one, okay, to copy and fill in. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to go back there for a moment. So blood is pumped into, well, what's going to happen here? So let's take this off for a moment so you can type on it to show you what you'll be doing. For a moment, I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, so we've got deoxygenated blood. So I've put, as a clue, I've put the heart down here. Okay, so see what I want people to obviously to fill it in. So blood is received into the, and let's have a look here. So right atrium from the vena cava. Okay, this is this bit. Okay, right atrium from the vena cava. The right atrium contracts to force blood through a valve, okay, into the right ventricle. It's still inside that part of the heart there, okay, it hasn't gone anywhere really at the moment, apart from inside that part of the heart. The right ventricle then contracts to force blood through another valve towards the, and we're going up here, the pulmonary artery. That's why I put that diagram there. Okay, it goes this way, this diagram. The pulmonary artery takes blood away from the heart towards the lungs, the pulmonary. So also to the lungs. Okay, in the lungs, oxygen. Okay, this is a word, diffuses into the capillaries, so small blood vessels, making the blood oxygenated. Okay, oops, oxygenated. So that's that one. Okay, so that's a blank one for you to fill in. So you've just seen me do that. That's a blank one to fill in, and I'd like you to do this one on your own, the oxygenated blood again. Oh sorry, I didn't show you the blank one there. That's the filled in one. Oxygenated blood. So, okay, we'll go through it. We've got a bit of time. Blood is received into the left atrium from the pulmonary vein. Okay, blood is received into the left atrium. Here we go, this side. So this is oxygenated blood. Now have a look at the top. We just went through deoxygenated. Okay, that's what I'm just going through with you, how to type that in. And this is now oxygenated. So that was the blue side, it goes with the blue, and the red side goes with the red. Okay, it's deliberately in this diagram doing that. Okay, in real life, you'll see a real heart in a moment. It doesn't look like that, but it's to make it a bit easier for us. So blood is received into the left atrium from the pulmonary vein. So it's coming back from the lungs. It's been to the lungs and come back. So the left atrium contracts to force blood through a valve into the left ventricle. Go down here. The left ventricle then contracts to force blood through another valve towards the aorta, that word I like. The aorta takes blood away from the heart towards the other organs of the body. And it's got a long way to go, that one. In other organs, nutrients and oxygen diffuse our capillaries into the organs. Okay. The blood becomes deoxygenated. Okay. So let's go through. So that's what a real heart looks like. Okay, it's not all like neatly divided up into different colours, but you can see the aorta there is quite a thick blood vessel. Okay. Right, lungs. We're going to go over lungs again. Another complicated thing. We're going to go over it briefly. Okay, so several tissues in the body to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, you've got the trachea, that's the main one. Bronchi, singular bronchus. Okay. Trachea is the big one, bronchus it splits into, then the bronchioles, and then the alveoli, and singular alveolar. Lots of Latin words going on here. It's got US, it means it's singular in Latin. The diaphragm is a muscle at the bottom, and the ribs and the intercostal muscles. So they're kind of taken away in this diagram. Okay, but it's just you to see it, and obviously there's the heart we just talked about. Okay, so what would I be able to do with this? Is to complete the labels of the thorax. The thorax is your chest cavity, okay, using the word at the bottom, so it's using the one before. So state what purpose the gas exchange system is and describe the role of each part. So I'm going to go over that briefly, okay, and I'll be able to copy this down. So the purpose of the gas exchange system to exchange gases and carbon dioxide between the body and the surroundings. Okay, so obviously you breathe air, don't you? Breathe oxygen from the air. The trachea delivers gases to and from the lungs. Trachea is delivering gas to and from the lungs from your mouth up here somewhere. The bronchi branch of the trachea that deliver oxygen to the lungs, to the two lungs. You might have only have one lung. If you have one, generally have two. Bronchioles, further smaller branches found inside each lung. And the alveoli is sort of like the one people talk about a lot. Small air sacs, but they're very tiny actually, where gases are exchanged between the lungs and the blood. So we talked about getting the oxygen from the blood, it's the alveoli, the blood. So if you look at watch other videos on the blood, talk about the alveoli. Lots of things in science cross over. So you'll see similar things in videos because they all fit together, obviously to keep us alive. The diaphragm, a thin muscle layer that contracts and relaxes to ventilate, so it means bring air into and out the lungs. Ribs and intercostal muscles protect the lungs, and muscles move the rib cage in and out. Okay. So we're going to look at the digestive system now. It's a bit of a sort of a quick tour of the organs of the body. This one, again, you have other videos that are specialised in certain parts of the body. Okay, this is an overall one. So food is quite large. So we need the digestive system. We can't absorb it straight into our blood. So most of the large substances will make food insoluble. Okay, you can't absorb nutrients into your bloodstream directly. So the digestive system is formed of a series of different organs that help break the large insoluble, so it means they don't dissolve in the blood or in water, okay, large insoluble water into smaller soluble molecules that can be absorbed into the bloodstream. Okay, so these are the parts of the digestive system. So again, to draw and to label, okay, the system. So give you a blank one there, okay, you can copy and paste, or whether you do that is appropriate, okay, you would like to do. So the journey of food. So mouth, the teeth chew the food, sort of macerating the food, I mean breaking it up, like so you chew something, you break it up. Saliva mixes with the food This contains some digestive enzymes and also lubricates the food. If you try to eat a cream cracker on its own, you know that it can make you sort of choke a bit. It's like your saliva tries to make it not as dry so it doesn't hurt your throat and go down into your stomach. The tongue helps form a small ball of food called a bolus, making it easier to swallow. Okay. So stomach, muscular bag. Stomach doesn't do really that much. Okay. Actually, you can live without a stomach, believe it or not. Okay. So you can actually bypass the stomach. You can live without it. The stomach, so it contracts to churn the food into a paste. But what the stomach does, it secretes a digestive enzyme called pepsin that breaks down proteins, and hydrochloric acid, which breaks down the food chemically. So when we come to chemical digestion, it's to do with breaking it down with hydrochloric acid and helps the enzyme work properly. Also, it kills bacteria as well in your stomach. Okay, the next part, the duodenum, the upper part of the small intestine, okay, receives digestive juices from the pancreas. We've got another organ getting involved there, okay, and the gallbladder further churns the food into a substance called chyme. These juices help break down the food into soluble nutrients. Okay, it's quite interesting. They've got lots of things going on. The main ones is, the small intestine digestive juices. Okay, so duodenum, pancreas and the gallbladder, a bit more detail. So the pancreas secretes digestive juices into the duodenum. So the carbohydrates, protease, lipase, enzymes, which break down the major food groups. So carbohydrates, you can guess the carbohydrate, protease, protein, lipase is fat. The gallbladder secretes digestive juice called bile into the duodenum via the bile duct. Bile helps make fat easy to digest. It's called emulsifies fat. You also live like your gallbladder too, and your pancreas, but not the liver is very important. We'll find out. Okay, the small intestine carried on. That's long called tube. It's longer. It's called the small intestine because it's narrow, not because it's shorter. It's longer, but it's narrower. So it secretes more digestive enzymes, and the walls of the small intestine contain microscopic folds called villi. Again, that's a plural villi. One would be villus. The villi have a large network of blood capillaries for the soluble molecules to move in via diffusion. Getting towards the end of the digestive system, a large intestine gets wide. Okay, so undigested food, this is the waste disposal bit, moves into this section of the small intestine. Okay, so here water moves from the small intestine into the large intestine. So they're connected. Okay, so here water diffuses back into the blood, leaving a solid waste substance called feces. So the rectum and anus, the end of the digestive system. So rectum is the final section of the large intestine, so it's part of the large intestine where feces are stored. Okay, so the anus is the exit route from the body where feces are expelled. Okay, the liver is a very, very important organ, the biggest organ apart from the skin in the body. So any digested food nutrients, so it's not, food doesn't pass through here, that's why I put it separately. That's the end of the digestive system. The liver gets involved in other processes. So any digested food nutrients are brought to the blood. So through the blood, well, this one, are taken to the liver to be processed. Some of the molecules are further broken down and others are used to make larger molecules the body can use. Also, the liver makes bile, which is stored in the gallbladder. So it's actually the liver that makes the bile. Okay, so a lot has gone on here. So what I suggest people to do to go over this is to write out, so draw out this table or copy it, okay, and to write down notes about what goes on in which organ and what part. So thank you for listening today, and hope to see you in another video. Thank you, goodbye.